Something about you, your voice is all in my head. All in my head, all in my head. I cannot stop thinking about what we did. Oh, what we did. I just need one more night to beat it up. One more night to beat it up. Your body keep calling, calling my name. Just one more night to beat it up. No more night to beat it up. Have our own private party. Finish what we started, girl.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Tiffany Tony, and you're watching another episode of Lipstick Tea, where we talk about love, relationships, of course, sex. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce my lovely panelists, starting with you, Miko.
Hey, I'm Miko Rounds.
Oh, you're so shy today.
I know, she's not that shy in real life.
No, she's not. She's
person,
crazy.
You guys.
Don't do that, y'all.
And Margot.
Oh, hey, I'm Margot Graf. You can follow me at It's Margot Graf. M-A-R-G-O, because what you see is what you get.
And we have another panelist that you guys have not met yet. Her name is the Bitch Bell.
Tink.
So at any point, if somebody gets out of line, I'm gonna have to ring the bitch bell, okay? I'll try not to ring it. I'm gonna put it over here so that I have to reach for it. But if you see me reaching, that means you might be reaching.
I'm going to crawl over you.
Is it really, can we really get out of line? This is Lipstick
I
Tea. You're
mean-
supposed to spill the tea, supposed to get a little loose, get a little wild.
Thank you.
I mean, everything has boundaries. So it's
Except for Margot.
So we
working
just
on
want to say, did you guys see the faces that Margot was making on our last? We appreciate the fans for commenting and sharing that with us. It was funny. It was cute. Anyway, we're going to dive right in, you guys. But have you ever been in a situation where you had feelings for someone that was a friend, just a friend, and you started to develop additional feelings, and how did you go about letting them know?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You look
Let's see what
ready.
you have.
Oh, man. You know what? It was when I lived in Europe, and I just absolutely fell in love with my best friend. She was beautiful, and we would just like ruin the world together.
Did
You know
she
what I
love
mean?
you back?
Yes, like we just had this like love affair where we loved each other and would love other people. Like it was just like a all-encompassing, and we were just like each other's muses and fascination, and it was amazing.
Did you profess your love for her first, or did she profess hers for you
Or did y'all
first?
just start getting freaky?
Yeah, like how did it go
How
down?
did it
We
happen?
need juicy details.
I honestly can't. I think it was like such a mutual thing where like I would just see her and just like, you know, like
So
I just,
you got freaky.
yeah, I couldn't help it. I was just like, man, yeah. But I get like, I don't always get all that. I do tend to fall in love with a lot of my female best friends, but I don't always tend to be in like sexual relationships with them. I think because like, man, my first open woman-on-woman relationship, it was very hard for me to be like sexual at first because I was so nervous. I was like, you've had all these years to be professional,
years.
and I want to be an equal giving lover, and like it makes me so nervous that like maybe I can't
just gotta
be.
dive in.
Oh yeah, no, I did. So you know, but it's nice to have. And I don't think I've always been as sexual with all my female friendships, but like to be able to have those women that like can show you and be patient with
teach you some
you.
things.
Yes.
Okay.
So how old were you when you had your first experience with a woman?
I mean, I think I was like playing doctor.
Playing house?
No, not even a house, like doctor.
Before,
She was a
after
gynecologist.
doctor, after doctor.
Yeah.
How old were you? Like after doctor, like when you were really
Like
like,
a
okay, this is what I
real-
want. I'm really trying to.
My first, I knew I fell in love with my first girl when I was a junior in college. Like for sure. She was just like a goddess.
Oh, what's her name? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm taking.
So what about you? Have you had an experience where you were in love with a friend and you wanted to let them know, but you weren't sure how to go about it? You seem like you're always
yeah.
sure.
Listen, this doesn't, I don't want to sound cocky. More often than not, I have a friend who feels that way about me. And there's been situations where I've had to tell them, no, this isn't where I see our relationship going. But I'm always very like abrupt. Like I'm really straightforward with people. Like I'll meet people and I'll be like, look, this is where we are. This is where I plan on staying with you. I don't see anything more. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, when I meet people, I tell them up front if I want to fuck with them, if I don't want to fuck with them. And if they tell me they have feelings, then I assess where they are in my life. If they're my best friend, I'm like, okay, I understand this, but this is not what I see for our relationship. And are you comfortable with seeing me date people, being out with me when I'm doing this and when I'm doing that? Because if you're not, then I'm going to have to put a certain level of distance on our friendship.
Absolutely.
So I haven't really had to express how I felt about a friend, but I've had it expressed to me.
Have you ever mistakenly crossed over out of the friend zone into another zone and then realized you fucked up?
Yeah, but luckily I'm always honest with people. So I have had that situation. We're friends now too. And we thought that we both liked each other because we had so many things in common. We thought that it would be something great for us, but we also realized we were just better as friends.
Yeah.
Most of my exes, probably sounds crazy, most of my exes are still my friends. I was the maid of honor in one of my ex-girlfriend's wedding just recently. So, yeah.
That's really sweet.
That's amazing.
I wish I could say the same.
Yeah,
Mine's about 50-50.
I feel like,
I told y'all it's not all restraining orders.
yeah. I feel like with men, I end up having them as friends in my life. But also, like, I kind of sometimes just love the relationships where sometimes I'm just, like, in love with my best friend, but, like, we don't have a sexual relationship.
For sure.
Like, she's my wife. I'm just, like, emotionally, like, just enthralled with her. But, like, I think because I know how bad it could, like, I would never want to.
I think people forget that women are just as afraid of rejection as
Yeah.
men are. You know, at least I can relate to that. Not necessarily afraid of it, but it definitely has an impact. And speaking of that, I want to talk about depression in the LGBTQ community and mental health, because I think it's something that's really important, and it's something that nobody is immune to depression or mental illness. And have you ever dated someone, or even you yourself been on the other end of that and suffered from depression as a result of the way society perceives your sexuality? Has that happened to you?
100%. I mean, man, you know what's really fucked up is like when you're a kid and you're watching Barney, that they put like Skinamax right next to Barney.
Wait,
so like
what
as
do
a
you
kid,
mean?
I was just very actually had just like a ton of knowledge of like what sex was at a very young age, because it was like Barney or sometimes like Skinamax. Like, and so growing up, I was very fascinated. I thought like that's how relationships were. I thought that's how you showed love.
And how
for one
did that
person.
cause
it
depression
was
for you?
fucked. Like,
Was it because you felt like you couldn't talk about it with people, or you felt like you were strange or different, or what was?
I felt like that was how I needed to show love, and that's how I showed
Through sex?
love. Yeah, and it was really rough. I mean, girls are mean. They can be very jealous and very like territorial and like, oh, you're young and you're trying to take, especially like in grade school, high school, middle school, whatever it is, like, yeah, like girls would write horrible things about me in the bathroom in permanent marker, and they used to have to lock the bathrooms just to scrub them. And I just remember when I found out that's why the bathroom was like shut down.
So
like,
you went through extreme bullying, it sounds like.
yeah,
How did you cope with that? And how do you advise that other people?
You know, probably tried to kill myself 5 times. I used to be like a semi-cutter. Like, there were things where like now growing up, the fact that like I went through that, and like still I deal with, I mean, because I escaped being kidnapped from being human trafficked, and I've had some other PTSD things. Like, I have a dog that like she needs to be with me normally at all times, so that like I know if someone comes in my house, I know like if I'm not safe, I know like, and I've trauma bonded with my last relationship where like she was going through something really tough, and I was too, and we really trauma bonded. And
and on the topic of trauma bonding, I can attest to that and situations where that has been helpful and we've been instruments in each other's healing, and then times when it's been extremely toxic. Actually, I want to give you a chance to talk about that, because I can see that resonates with you. If you need a moment, I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Damn.
But it's
It is.
It's a beautiful
made
thing
me
to be able
feel-
to talk about it, because now I've done so much work with Girls Inc. and like talk to them about healthy communicative relationships, and like if I can be here now and have gone through like so much.
A lot of people live as victims instead of as survivors.
Absolutely.
As the victor to get through it and get past it. A lot of my work is always in counseling, because I also do social work. I've been in relationships where you have that person who says, if you leave me, I'm going to kill myself.
Or you.
And I've also been in those relationships where I felt like if the person left me, I wanted to kill myself. I didn't want to be here. I remember being with my first girlfriend and being in high school. I remember her having a conversation with me like that, and I was scared to leave her for the day because I didn't know how it would go. But then I also remember when we finally split up when I was in college, and I was just like, you know what? I don't know what my life looks like without her. She's my motivation to do everything that I'm doing. I don't know what it is. And then I've also been in the situation where just being who I am, from being, when I was first trying to be in the gay community, when I was still like living for my family, living for other people, and it was like, okay, I'm bisexual. And when you're trying to make your way into the gay community, and we want people to accept us so much, and it's like, okay, I'm black and I'm gay and I'm a woman. I have all three of these things, but now I'm coming into the gay community and they're pushing you out because, oh, you're bisexual, you don't fit enough. So I've been through the depression with different parts of it. Now that I just identify as a lesbian woman, I feel like my plight with them is a little better. But
So how long did it take you to identify these relationships as codependent? Because that's what it sounds like they were.
See, my first relationship, I was with her for 7 years.
Yeah.
So it started in high school, went through college. I don't think I really realized what it was until probably after I finished college and I was going to school for like, psychology and all. So.
And when you guys split up, did you feel that you went through a period of depression and learning how to exist without this person that had been in your life for so long?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Like that person just feels like your support system. They feel like they help you move through the day.
Yeah.
And when you don't have that person, sometimes it just feels like your whole day is just off. Like you don't know what's going to happen next, especially if that's because she was not in lesbian relationships. It's really easy for the person that you love to be your best friend. So I felt like when we broke up, I lost my best friend. I lost my lover. I just lost like a big chunk of what my life was.
Absolutely. I can relate to that. And the reason I bring this up is because there was a transgender woman that I worked with at this agency here in LA, and I noticed that, in our work environment, people didn't really work to include her in conversations, in outings, and she was just always left out. And so I would always try to interact with her, invite her to things, and make her feel included. And unfortunately, she did commit suicide while we worked together, And so me watching, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but me watching a person go through that and then actually take their life because of their sexuality and not being accepted for that. It did a number on me, and I just always, if anyone's watching and you are dealing with depression, there are sources for you to reach out to, and just know that you're not alone. So
how do you as an adult woman now be a survivor and continue life not as a victim, but as like a warrior for yourself in dealing with depression or anxiety? What are like your healthy coping mechanisms?
Fitness for sure has been my like anti-drug. But I don't consider myself a depressed woman now. Like I am a survivor and I'm proud of that. I mean, as a kid I did, I had eating disorders, and there were a lot of issues that I had being the only person that looked like me in my community, and then trying to figure out sexuality and being black, being overweight, being, all of those things, not really feeling like I fit in with white kids because I was a black kid. I didn't fit in with black kids because I, look mixed. And so it was just kind of a weird balance, that I had to figure out. But as a woman, like the person that I am now, like where I stand in my existence, I'm confident and I'm comfortable with who I am. Even in the mistakes that I've made, I'm just like, this is what it is, But it took some time to get to this point. It took a lot of inner work, a lot of like meditation, a lot of experimenting with different religions, with relationships, with men, with women, with everything. But through it all, like I feel strong in who I am.
Yeah.
And like I'm proud of that,
I think coping for people who are listening, watching, you have to have a support system. It does not have to be family, and blood does not make you family because sometimes they can turn on you the worst.
Tell me about it.
You have to have somebody that you can talk to, whether it's your best friend. When I was a kid, it might sound retarded, but I have this teddy bear I still sleep with to this day. Sorry, it might sound a little crazy, a little off, but for a while it was my teddy bear. Like I felt like I could just talk to this teddy bear. He's Angel Bear, I still have him. And then it was like dogs. And for me, I have a best friend. And sometimes you have to have multiple friends, like one friend you can talk to about if you're a lesbian, your lesbian life. And if there's something you have your family life, like you have to have different people you can talk to. working out. I like reading. I like having music, like just different things that whatever makes you feel like you're in your own space and where you can just come out and be you. If it's writing, I like to journal. I like to write things down. Sometimes there's spaces you can look up where people talk about certain topics that might be something that you can connect with. And everybody feels like if you talk to a therapist, you're crazy. You're not. People need help.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think especially in communities of color, therapy is looked down upon so heavily, and it's not a bad thing. It's very healthy, and it's instrumental in your growth and your development. And I think the biggest thing I learned from therapy was that I really didn't need therapy, but I'm glad that I went, because it allowed me to have those inner conversations with myself. Like now, instead of just making a decision, I ask myself, like, why am I doing this?
It's kind of like going to the gym and having a trainer. Like you can go to the gym and not have a trainer and be fine. You can go to the gym and bring a piece of paper that's a workout plan and be fine. But sometimes the trainer's like, oh, your form's a little off.
Exactly.
Try doing that back.
Yeah.
So it's like just having that there, enough. Having those boundaries that help you be like, well, what if you also looked at it like this?
Absolutely.
And stepped outside of yourself, and they don't, always have the biases that you necessarily have.
For sure.
I feel like one way that has also really helped me is like my little cousins, man. Like I shared everything with them that I went through so that hopefully they didn't have to go through those same things.
Right.
And if you have someone that like you're also helping, it helps you not feel like, I don't know what to do. I'm a victim. It's all happening to me. It's like, no, I've gone through this for like a purpose. I do feel this.
And would you agree that, okay, so when you're entering into relationships, how do you know when you are healed enough to enter into a relationship, or that you are mentally put together enough to enter into a relationship without dragging someone down? Because we all want to be an attribute to whoever it is that we're dating, right?
I feel like you gotta
Don't
be
you think?
okay.
I mean,
you gotta be okay
Got me on these
alone.
topics today. Go ahead.
I feel like you gotta be okay alone before you can be with anybody else. And like, you gotta be cool with yourself. Like, in knowing that like one person isn't gonna make or break your life.
Yeah.
But like, understanding that, I feel like if you are open to welcoming help, that's like, you're open to welcoming a person into your life.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to pitch this. There's a book called The Sacred Pampering Principles of an African American Woman. You don't have to be African American to read the book, but it's about pampering yourself and loving yourself. I think it ties into the depression. I think it ties into you making yourself whole.
You're going to have to send that to us.
Yeah, you have
Send
to.
us that link.
Hurt people. So
Yes.
when you're allowing someone into your life, I always take the idea, leave someone better than you found them. If you can leave them better than what you found them, regardless if you guys work or whatever, you're in a better space with them. I don't know if you ever really know when you're ready, because I've been single for 2 years thinking I was ready, and then I helped the person, but then they hurt me.
Yeah.
So you never really know if you're ready for a relationship or not. I just go with the idea of leaving people better than you found them.
Absolutely. And we would like to hear what you guys think about this as well. I just want you to know that we do read all of your comments and your DMs, and we don't skip any of them. We might not always address them, but we definitely read them all.
Maybe she reading too many that she's like, ooh.
So I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I know we dug really deep today, and I hope that you guys found as much benefit in this as we did talking about it. We have more episodes coming up for you soon, but unfortunately, this is the end of this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Lipstick Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Tony. You can find me at Tiffany_Tony_. Tiffany like the jewelry store, Tony like the boxer. Take us out.
Sorry guys, I burped. Excuse me. Miko_rounds. I last a couple rounds.
And my name's Margot Graf. You can follow me at It's Margot Graf. Margot, M-A-R-G-O. What you see is what you get. Graph like a math graph, but with an FF, baby. And I'm gonna steal this from Busy Phillips. We love you.
We do so much. And you guys, if you are ever, just know that you're not alone. If you're ever dealing with depression, anxiety, any of those things, know that you're not alone. I know you see us here on TV and you think that we don't have any problems, but we do. We have problems too, and you're not alone. So feel free to reach out and
I answer most of my DMs.
Yeah, me too, as long as they're not crazy.
Nasty ass.
See you next time.